tonight or anywhere else to you through CNN, either in this hour or when it happens live. I want to bring back in retired Lieutenant General Mark Hertling, retired Air Force Intelligence Officer Rick Francona, who has actually visited the base that was hit, and retired Navy Rear Admiral John Kirby. Admiral Kirby, Admiral Kirby is the former Pentagon press secretary and the State Department spokesman as well. Also David Axelrod, former Obama senior advisor, and Gloria Borger, our chief political analyst. Admiral Kirby, just in terms of what you have heard so far about what we know of this strike, 50 to 60 Tomahawks targeting this one air base, what stands out to you? What questions would you like most to have answered at this point?
Well, I think right now, what I'm most curious about is the battle damage assessment and what how much damage they think they did, whether they hit actually what they were aiming at, and what the effect is. I'd also really like to know whether there were any civilian casualties, particularly if there was any Russian casualties as a result of this strike. This is a classic sea-based cruise missile launch operation, and everything that I've heard from Barbara's reporting is very typical. That's the way these things are planned and usually executed. It is not dissimilar, quite frankly, from the kinds of plans that we had teed up in 2013 when President Obama was considering similar strikes against Syrian targets ashore. It is interesting to me that this hit one airfield and multiple sites at the airfield. That doesn't surprise me. That's why you have so many Tomahawks, and you have usually a multiplied effect of multiple missiles on target. I'm a little interested to know why no storage facilities or any specific chemical weapon storage facilities might have been hit. Now maybe they didn't know where they are, maybe they're deep underground, but when you talk about degrading his capability to conduct those kinds of attacks, yes, absolutely. If you hit an airfield like that, a tactical field, you're going to degrade his ability to fly out of that field, but you're not necessarily going to completely eliminate his ability to visit these sorts of attacks in the future on other targets based from other fields.
And Admiral, Colonel Francona had talked about the hardened hangars that these aircraft are in at this base. How strong are they? I mean, does a repeated strike by repeated Tomahawks degrade that, or
it certainly
overcome
could.
it? Okay.
Yeah, it certainly could. He's right about those hardened hangar facilities, and that would explain, I think, to some degree, why so many Tomahawk missiles. Because you can pound away at them over a span of time with multiple missiles and have a more dramatic effect. The initial wave sort of weakens the target, and then you can keep hitting it to try to penetrate it a little bit more deeply.
General Hertling, you talked about your experience, in planning these kind of possible strikes. What do you make of this one?
Well, this launched at 8:45 our time. By my calculation, that's about 3:45 in the morning Syria time. 50 targets is a pretty hefty retaliatory strike on one air base. And as you just said, and as Mike just mentioned, you're probably going to get a salvo on the base with each target being hit 2, possibly 3 times, depending what the target is. I lived at an air base in Iraq that had been hit prior to us moving in there, and each one of the shelters had 1 or 2 holes on the roof of it that come in and then damage the plane that's underneath. But as Rick Francona said a minute ago, a smart commander would have moved those planes. But this was a fast action. Again, Anderson, it occurred within 2 days. But when you launch 50, 59 missiles at one base, it's going to get people's attention very quickly. It will have the effect of the limited retaliatory strike. The course of action 1, which is probably the lightest course of action, was conducted. And it seems like a lot, and it's a lot of ammunition going down at 1,000 pounds a piece of ammunition of those 59 rockets. But I tell you, it will send a message, number one. You ask what we're concerned about. Mike just said the BDA, bomb damage assessment. What did it hit? Was there any civilian casualties? I would be interested in that too. But what I'm more interested in is what's going to happen tomorrow. What happens next? What kind of reaction is this going to get from the world? Not just our friends, but perhaps from our foes. And how are they going to, especially the Russians and the Iranians, and how they're going to act. And not only how they're going to react in the press and what their politicians are going to say, but what other actions might be taking place around the world. We've got a lot of forces deployed to Europe right now that are countering Russian malign action. What's going to happen there? Are there going to be other areas where Russians and Iranians are going to take action to counter some of the things that we might anticipate doing?
I want to bring in our Jim Acosta, who's also learning some more information. Jim?